everyone, Tina here. I hope you're having a lovely day. Thanks so much for joining me. Well, today we're going to create some messy and inky cards. We're going to be using some Hero Arts items. We have the Perfect Pair Stamp and Cut set, and then we have 2 floral die sets. We're going to make 2 different cards using each of these. This one is the Sweet Blooms. It comes with the Thanks die and a shadow. And then we also have the Hero Arts floral frame. This kind of does all the work for you, but the flowers in here are really pretty. So I thought we would just get inky and messy with something that I haven't did before. This is my Distress Spritz. These have a little bit of a metallic hue to them. And I think these may have came in a Simon card kit a while back. And I thought we would just put them to good use. It has the perfect colors that we could use as far as the blooms go, because there's a green for the leaves. I'm going to use the fossilized amber. The green is cracked pistachio, and then I'm going to use fossilized amber for the flower centers, and then I'm also going to be using peacock feathers and picked raspberry to do some spraying on our cards today. So we're going to get inky. So let's jump in. I already did my die cutting, you can see here. Now first we're going to do our inking with the Sweet Blooms. The Sweet Blooms has 4 flowers, a set of leaves, and then a set of stems. I cut these 2 out twice, and then the flowers out 3 times. We're going to do some layering with the flowers. Okay, I'm going to bring in a splatter box. I have a brand new one. And we're going to do, I'm going to do the flower centers first, because this way the ink doesn't transfer over into them. So we'll just put all the flowers in here. Okay, so I have this side here goes to my Sweet Blooms, and then this side here we are going to ink up the floral frame. Okay, so let's bring in our yellow. Again, this is fossilized amber, and we're just going to do some spraying. Wonderful. I'm going to put the whole box to the side. Now when we do our blooms, I thought we could give them a little antique look, because these are some pretty bright colors. Okay, so I thought we could dull them down a little bit by bringing in some Distress Oxide. And I have frayed burlap here. What I'm going to do is ink up my blending brush, and I'm going to add some brown. I always like to just do one side. I think this is going to give it a vintage kind of a antique look. So these are my blooms are already done. While I'm at it, I'm also going to go over the leaves. So these are all done. I'm going to put these to the side. And then while we have our inky desk, I went ahead and die cut out my floral frame. I need to punch out these sections. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing to our floral frame. And then these are the flowers that I cut out for my floral frame. We're going to go ahead and add some frayed burlap to these too. For the leaves, there is some really small leaf dies. I did the larger ones. And I'll put these to the side also. I'm going to clean off my work surface, and then we are going to add our flowers to our splatter box. Now we're going to take our picked raspberry. I'm going to spray over these flowers. Lovely. And then I'll go over it with the gold. And then for these flowers, we're going to use our peacock feathers. And we'll spray these. I'm not going to add my fossilized amber to these because it'll turn green, but I am going to add a little bit of my picked raspberry so they turn purple. Maybe we'll add a little bit of peacock feathers to these. We're going to go ahead and take these out of the box, and then we're going to add our leaves next. I'm also going to add my frame, and then we're going to take our cracked pistachio, and we're going to go over my leaves, and okay, lovely. I'm going to add a little bit of my fossilized amber for a little golden tone. Okay, I'm going to remove these leaves here. Now I'm going to take a little bit more of my picked raspberry, and I'm going to spray a little picked raspberry on here too. We'll go in a triangle. Maybe a little more pink here. Lovely. I'm going to put this to the side. We're going to let our flowers dry, and in the meantime, we're going to work on our greeting. Okay, first let's go ahead and bring in our stamp set here. Okay, we're going to stamp Hello Friend, and I'm just going to stamp it on some white cardstock using my VersaFine Clair ink. And then I also have a sub-sentiment because we're going to die cut out the word friend from the other set. So I have For Everything here that we're going to stamp. Okay. Wonderful. And then I'm going to take the thanks. Okay, I'll die cut out the shadow with white, and then just using the leftover ink from my frayed burlap, I'm going to add some ink here at the bottom. I'm going to add a little bit of color to the thanks. Okay, and then I can take the coordinating dies here, and we will cut these out also. Now we can layer our letters over our thanks. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue, and then we can layer the letters right over the shadow. Okay, we have the S. So those are going to be our greetings. Now I do want to work on my background. For my background on one of my cards, I went ahead and die cut out a panel with white cardstock using the nested postage labels and tag die set. This is the largest stitched one, but we're going to do a little bit of masking on here. So I'm going to bring in some masking paper. I'm using the Spellbinders masking sheets, but if you have masking tape, you can use that. What I'm going to do is trim down a, let's see, let's go a 1/2 inch strip. I'm going to trim down some 1/2 inch strips. Now I'm going to remove the backing, and then we're going to mask off all of the edges here. Bringing in more Distress Oxide ink. This is Wild Honey. Wild Honey is like a orangey yellow. I would say more orange than yellow. But what I'm going to do is just add some shading along the edge here. I thought we would bring in a little bit of brightness. Since we did dull it down a little bit, this is going to help out. Just adding some color. On an A2 panel, I'm going to do the same thing. Just going to add ink, but I'm going to go in towards the center a little bit more. And then I'm going to bring back my frayed burlap. We're going to add a little ink, and we're going to add brown over the yellow. Kind of gives it a golden look. And then I'll do the same thing with this one. Just along the edge, we'll add a little bit of brown. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and remove the mask here. And I love the highlighted look of this. I'm going to put each of these on the front of my A2 size card base. We'll just use the tape runner. Okay, so these are both of my card bases. Now I did put foam tape behind the flowers on my frame. I'm going to go around the edge with my glue. I thought we would add a little dimension to this. So we're just going to layer this on our card base for a little added dimension. Okay, now as far as the flowers go, we're going to go ahead and layer some of them. For this frame, we're going to layer the pink and the small pink with the larger pink, like this. And then I'll add the flower centers. As far as this flower goes, I'm going to add this flower to the top. They're not matching flowers, but I do want to add just a little extra dimension to that little cluster. Okay, so I'll do that and put the flower like that. And then I'll put the flower centers in the middle. Okay. And then I'll do that to all of the flowers here. And then as far as my larger flowers go, we're going to take the small and the large, put a dot of glue, kind of curl up the petals. And then we can add this flower right in the center. And then we can add these flower centers here for the pink. They line up beautifully. And then also for the blue. Just find, and then we can add this flower center too. There we go. And I'm going to do that to all of the flowers, and I will be right back. Okay, so all of my flowers are done. These I think are gorgeous on their own. Look how pretty they are. Okay, and then the larger ones are done too. Okay, let's start off with our first card here. I went ahead and glued down my stems. I'm only going to use 3 of them. This bottom one's going to overhang. Okay. And then we're going to layer our flowers. And I'm going to kind of trail up a little bit. Maybe one down here. Then we have an extra one. I might use the extra one over here on our next card. And then we have our leaves. I did put foam tape behind our leaves, so beautiful. Now we're going to take our floral frame. I'm going to use this larger flower from this set on this card. And I do want to mention that I had leftover flower centers from this set. So I added the bigger flower centers around my frame. And then now we're just going to kind of fill it in here. There we go. I kind of scooted these up a little bit because we're going to add our greeting next. I'm going to put my thanks here. Wonderful. And then we're going to put for everything. Let's add that here. So there's that card. And then, you know, I think my Hello Friend is a little bit too bold for my card. I really like the golden tones. So what we're going to do is do a reroute. We are going to rewind. I'm bringing in a piece of cardstock, and I'm going to bring back my Hello Friend stamps, and using my Distress Oxide, we're going to restamp this. Now I want a gradient. Okay, so what I'm going to do is flip it over, and then using my blending brush, I'm going to just go over the top with a couple swipes, and this is going to give me a really nice gradient. Okay, and that wasn't very nice, so let's try it again. Okay, just ink it up here, and then we'll just go over the top. And then we can stamp it here. Wonderful, that's much better, okay? And then we're gonna do the same thing with the hello. We're just gonna ink this up. We're gonna go over the top of this, and then we'll stamp hello over here. So if you ever want to know how to create a gradient with your oxide inks, just bring in your blending brush. But I'm going to take the coordinating die and I will cut out these. Okay, I went ahead and popped them up with foam tape. And then I'll fill this one in over here. Now, as far as bells and whistles go, I'm going to bring in some of my liquid pearls. Since we're really dark, I'm going to bring in some light liquid pearls. I'm using my white Opal, and I'm going to add some white detail to each one of these flowers. I'm also going to add it to the flowers that are on the frame. And then that finishes off my card today. We're using Distress Spritz and some fabulous new dies from Hero Arts. And I hope you enjoyed my project, and I thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for sticking with me to the end. I have 2 more videos that you guys might be interested here. If you guys are new and like the content that you see, click that subscribe button and also the notification bell. That way for future videos, be notified. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It sure does help the channel. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.